This goes on, like, to bring this back to almost the scale and authorship and stuff too, is like, for an individual, it's like, what are all the things that you're not, like, fully living and fully applying to life? You know, like, for every individual, there's going to be something, and it's like, I can't feel every single cell in my body right now. But I know that at other times I was more aware, and other times less aware, and sometimes not aware of a single feeling on my body, and other times completely aware of, like, most of my body. And, like, all the degrees and extremes are there. Why can't I just lean that way where I'm, like, feeling the moment on a physical level more often, and, like, doing that all the time, or more often at least? Like, I can do that. I know that's possible. And then, like, all the other little tiny things, like, there's so many that if I sat down and I thought about it for, like, a whole day, I would eventually come up with a list. It probably wouldn't be very long. Like, it probably wouldn't be that long for anybody, really, because all the things would end up being kind of the same thing. It's like, you know, oh, I shouldn't do this, and they all fall under, like, take things too personally. Like, it would all fall under just a few things. And then you just look at that and be like, wow, that little spread. But then that scales up and it turns into all those things. Like, all those things that turn into, just don't take things so personally. If you took any of those things, the things that a person has in them, and you spread that up, you would eventually get to things like, stop perpetuating the things that I'm blindly perpetuating. Because that's, like, something that somebody might think of if they started to reflect upon all the things that they could do better themselves. Like, oh, my uncle was a jerk and loud and angry, and my mom never treated me well, and and this person stole things, and my boss this one time was like this, and a fellow classmate was like this, and all these things you don't like. Then it's like, I gotta make sure I don't do that. And then you might find something in your life that you're doing is somewhat similar to one of those things that you don't like that another person is doing. It's like, oh, sometimes I am also not treating people well. I can fix that. I can do better. And, like, it would just scale up to all these things that you don't like or like in life. And it would all come back to this one point. But eventually, that don't perpetuate being not nice to people also ties into stop perpetuating mindless violence on the TV screen and all this other stuff. And then you have authorship over your own decisions, over your own life. And now the stuff that you're going to be putting out into the world is good. And then eventually somebody comes along and they've developed enough to be like, I'm going to make a good story. And they put out a good story. And then that story is way better than everything else because it's like a Ghibli movie or an Avatar: The Last Airbender or something. And it's like, it stands the test of time and is world-changing for so many people and starts a new real, like, paradigm or, like, timeline of stories and things that could come out because it was done with goodness. Like, the person cared enough about life and about the fact that what they do does have an effect, that they're going to consider the effect that their stuff has before putting it out into the world. And then ta-da.
Ta-da.
It's that simple. It's that obvious.